From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. I'm the founder, CEO, and Chief Digital Strategist at Stunning Digital Marketing. In today's podcast, I sit down with Ryan Waterbury in our monthly agency chat, and we talk about getting ready for 2025. Grab a drink, sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Hey everybody, Stunning Digital Marketing is your digital concierge. We help you put the pieces together to make your marketing success. Specialties we have including WordPress design and development, WordPress security, which is one of our most popular offerings, ads, and more. So if you want to succeed in the digital world, go on over to stunningdigitalmarketing.com and have a look at what we offer, and we'd be glad to help you. And let's jump on a call and make it happen. That's stunningdigitalmarketing.com. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here, coming to you today from an undisclosed bunker in the middle of nowhere, here with my monthly co-host, Mr. Ryan Waterbury. Hey Ryan.
How you doing, Rob?
Not too bad, just kind of hiding. You know how that is, don't you? In the web design.
I've been doing my fair share of that. It's called nose to the grindstone. Don't bother me.
Yeah, well, I'm on site at a client's today, and holidays at the time this recorded coming up, and I wanted to get this in. So there you go. So today we thought about what you got to do to prep for 2025 as 2024 comes to an end. And I should tell you, I'm not a big fan of doing resolutions. So the worst thing business owners can do is resolutions. I prefer to sit down and set long-term goals for each quarter and then break them down into smaller short-term goals. And by the way, I also mesh my personal goals in with that, because as a business owner, they go hand in hand. How do you feel about that whole goal setting resolution process?
I am on the same track, and I don't set resolutions at all, personal or professional. I'm a firm believer in planning, and you touched on something right there where I've been bitching and complaining all fall because my planning for 2024 had work lined up through quarter two, quarter three, and then none in four, except my regular holiday marketing work, which actually exploded on top of everything else. Just work slid into the fall, which is the season where I like to take at least a month off. Like, you can't really take a month off as a solo business owner, but I don't enjoy the other seasons like that. My office staff are purebred hunting dogs, and that's our time. And this year we just didn't get enough time. So that's definitely a goal that I have for next year. And it already started, the planning. It started 3 months ago, 4 months ago. And if you haven't started planning for 2025 to make things work the way that you want them to, you're probably a little behind, but it's not too late.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think planning's a big part of it. But I also like to do coming out of 2024, and it's kind of, if I get there this year, because we're now into political season in Canada, and you know what that does to me. So the problem is I like to take a look back at and say, okay, what works, what doesn't work, which clients did I get rid of, why I got rid of those clients, what was wrong, what red flags came up after the fact. And I kind of like to analyze the whole year and say, okay, what's happening? What do we need to do? If you remember last year at this point, I increased all my prices. I'm not regretting doing that 100% at all. It didn't hurt me. And now I'm just kind of looking ahead and saying, okay, what I'm trying to evaluate 2024 and say what worked and didn't work.
I exactly, and I do that same thing. I look at what software am I using and what am I
Mhm.
paying for? Are my websites optimized across servers appropriately? Because I did let go of some clients that were problematic. That and I did so for probably some of the same reasons that you did. They just were not a good fit for me and my business, and didn't fit my processes. One of the things that really I've been doing it in small fashion for the past few years, but working in strategic partnerships with a content marketing agency and also a pure graphic and web designer, where we've kind of partnered to take on some larger projects. So that's come into planning, and I had good SOPs for my own processes, but when you start working with other people, obviously we all have our own processes, ways to work. That's something that we are wrapping up our last project for the year that launched last night.
Yeah.
After some changes and a couple more this morning, but things were good. But there were some questions that came up that, for me, I just think they're obvious, and they're not if you don't do the particular type of work every day. So it just reminded me that I need to look at my SOPs, not only for myself, but also working with vendors and clients, and tighten
Yeah.
those up a bit. I know you and I have talked on other, podcasts about tightening up our terms and conditions. That's something that, I'm not done. I'll never be done. But I think we firmed up those things. Look at your TNCs. Are your bases still covered? SOPs. Just some basic things like image cropping and resolution for e-commerce versus hero sections. And what it really is prompting me to do is build my content schedule and talk about some of these things in a blog, as I'm redoing my
Yeah.
SOPs. um, but the biggest one for me, is planning work.
Mhm.
And I try and plan the work for spring, and that's what I really talked about, a few minutes ago, where I said I started that a few months ago, and I started lining up the queue. When I worked for a Fortune 100 printing company, one of the largest in North America, yeah, we talked about this. I worked in a technical sales role when I was managing a department as part of my job, and we really broke down the sales process and how long it takes. And it's a 6 month to a year process with some of those corporate contracts, where
Yeah.
they're planning out, 6 months, a year. I mean, it used to be 3 to 5 years, but now when we moved into the digital ages, even in the early 2000s, you still have to plan out. And corporate entities and even small to mid-sized businesses, they are planning big expenditures, marketing changes, new website and infrastructure changes well in
Mhm.
advance of the year. So getting in front of that early uh, helps you secure some of those contracts and line up your year so you're not scrambling and looking for work. That's one of my biggest goals for next year, is to schedule things appropriately, work them in a process. If things go off the rails, come back into the process and realign schedules.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think one of the things you got to do as we look to new ahead is communicate with your clients. So I touched on this earlier this week in a quick podcast and said, how many business owners haven't told their clients what their holiday hours are at this point? Like I know I shut down on the 23rd of December. I'm basically down probably from the 21st, but reality the 23rd. I don't reopen till January 2nd.
Mhm.
Um, and I've already communicated that once, and I will send out a reminder this week and again next week. So if my clients choose not to subscribe to their client newsletter, that's on them because I'm at the point where I know I'm gone. So I'm gone.
Mhm.
And there's a couple exceptions, but I'm basically out. And we need to communicate that. The other thing we need to do going in is set realistic timeframes. Because I find with clients, everybody wants everything come January 1, because the new budget year for most companies kicks in, unless you're a government in Canada that's end of March, early April. but generally it's most people use the calendar year. And people got to realize you can't have everything all at once. You just got to
Mhm.
communicate proper timelines, appropriateness, and so on.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've worked with a lot of clients, and some that approach that red flag level, and it turned out not to be a red flag. It was communication and
Yep.
managing expectations, and coming back to here's what we can do within this timeline when they want it now, and set reasonable goals. And uh you know working with some serial entrepreneurs that have a lot of pokers in the fire, they drop the ball occasionally, and yeah, generally they're good clients, but when they drop the ball, they've dropped it because they've been sitting on something for too long, and then it's hot. So managing expectations and communicating on everything going on, that here are the schedules, here's what we can do if you can't meet these deadlines, and then rewrite it, but do it within reason.
Yep.
And so client management is something that I'm continually working on, and it helps manage schedules, manage expectations, and in the end, I'm happier, the client's happier, we get things launched. I I'm going to say on time, but nothing is ever on time. I don't think
No.
I've never met one of the initial deadlines for a launch. I think once,
Yep.
and that was because it was intended to be, hey, we have an event coming up that we got a slot in. We didn't think it was going to happen. We needed this site spun up. Great, that happened, but everything else, nope. It's always a week or two or a day or two behind, and that's okay as long as you manage those expectations and you adjust your schedule where everybody's happy. So that's my big goal is next year, client management in order to meet tighter deadlines. And when I say tighter deadlines, I don't want to be a couple of months over the goal mark. I'd like to
Yep.
be, a couple of days or a week out, unless there's a major change.
Yep.
And then, that's something else. That's a project addition or major alt. So,
No, I agree with it. The other thing I always do at this time of year, it's interesting. In December every year, I take all my clients, and you and I both know I have a pile of security care plan clients. And you know, I send each one an individual email with what the renewal dates are the following year, so
mhm.
that if they've misplaced their contracts, they can't find stuff, they all have the renewal dates, and I've reminded them. Now, interesting enough, I have very few renewals in January. It's just the way it works. The bulk of them start February, and then they go depending on where right through the year. So it's just kind of really interesting. But then again, they've been communicated with and reminded. And very rarely does a client come back to me and say, "Hey, I forgot my renewal date." Well, my standard answer was, "Did you look at your contract?" But that's, another story. I think you're sometimes better to over communicate than to under communicate. So,
Yeah, that was one thing, as my client list and roster has grown, I was better about, one-on-one communications and checking in. And that's also one of my goals for next year is to check in on my clients on a more regular basis. I have a couple of invoices out right now that I would be happy if they closed today, but I need to reach out and just do the check-in with those clients to see what's going on, and remind them that, hey, you have these one-off invoices. But unlike you, I don't do annual, because for me, that's that comes chasing around a big ticket item, and then people forget, and you know so I do monthly because one of the things that another colleague reminded me of said, do you even think about paying your Netflix bill every month or your
yep,
Amazon Prime bill? Those monthly things, when you break it down to a monthly subscription, and this is just philosophically, it made sense, and I really don't think about it. My internet bill to power my business, it just comes out every month, and I don't think about it. So that was one of those decisions I made. I had quarterly plans and annual plans at one point, but I sat down in one of the December sessions and I said, I have two clients on the annual plan and one on the quarterly plan at this point. I'm going to roll them over to monthly because it's more of a pain in the butt, mainly because one of my annual clients missed it every year and I would have to go chase a big bill and it wasn't working for me. So
Yeah.
this is that time where you want to look at your SOPs and even your billing and even the tools, for what you're paying for, and take a look and evaluate and see, you know, financially, are you paying for things that you shouldn't? Are the things that you're paying for working for you? I I'm gonna I'm gonna pay for ClickUp for another year. I was hoping not to, because Fluent boards, I picked that up. I like the Fluent products, but they're they're a little behind in their development, so they're not there yet, and that's fine. So I've been, doing those things and evaluating what am I paying for?
Yep.
Is it worthwhile? Does it help me save time? Does it help me improve my client's experience with working with me? Those are just the general questions. And every this isn't, you know, something that's specific to our industry. Every business should take a look at what you're doing at the end of the year and see, am I making money the right way? Am I spending time the right way? Is the business still working for me? So
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned annual plans, and I haven't told you this, but I'll make the announcement here and now. I'm about to offer some monthly plans, believe it or not. I don't know. I'm not going to post the rates, but I'm basically going to say if you want to pay monthly, contact me and we can have a chat. Because I think I'm going to offer that option, but I'm not getting rid of the annual plans. I prefer the annual billing. That's just me, so it works for me. So,
I,
but it's like everything else, you just keep reevaluating. Um, what else do you look at going into the new year?
I, over the years, it's been, are my processes working?
Yep.
And I've been doing this as a, kind of a side biz for a long time until I incorporated in 2016 and then fully left, doing my consulting gig in 2019. And so my process has changed every year because I was shuffling on how much time I was putting into the business. I had pretty much set what I was doing in throughout the year in 2019. I had a really good model. I had some staff, things were working great. 2020 absolutely blew that up. And every year I've gotten back a little bit incrementally and changed some things. But each year I change less and less as I dial in on what I'm doing. And I feel pretty comfortable this year going into the following year, for the first time since 2019, that I've got a good plan. I think the services that my agency is offering are solid. I like the clients that I'm working with. We've shuffled out the clients that haven't worked. I like the colleagues that I'm working with. And now it's down to, are the tools I'm paying for working for me? And do they work
Mm.
for my colleagues? And just little things like that, just SOPs. And now it's long-term planning where we talked about planning out the quarters, but I'm looking at, the following year, 5 years, planning some more sustainable things like, am I putting enough money in my retirement account?
Yep.
Do I took a couple of deposit checks, for 10, 20 grand this fall, and it said, oh shit, do I have enough in my, you know, slush account to cover the taxes when they come due in January?
Oh yeah, of
So
course.
the planning things are starting to look a little bit different on, the financial side where I've been doing this for a while. I think I've got a good product and service. Now I got to look at sustainable and growing it. So conversations that I'm having now in 2025 are coming into are way different than the ones that I had in 2016, 2017, and was just figuring out how to build the agency in a viable method.
Yeah, so true. I think we're going to keep this kind of short, but I think we've given some people some ideas on what to do to get ready for next year. I think what it comes down to is planning and looking back and reevaluating, right? If you were going to name three things. And I just want to take time to wish you and everybody else out there a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah if you celebrate, and enjoy your time. And make sure you take some time off for recharge for the new year, because I think that's really important too.
Absolutely. And, that's one thing that I wanted to mention. I'm closed the same that you are the last 2 weeks of the year because I think it's really important that you enjoy time with friends and family and enjoy the holiday season however you choose. But
Yeah,
unplug, definitely
yeah.
unplug.
Yeah, you must have drugged your two office staff because I haven't heard a word from them today, which is,
Surprisingly, we're getting a nice little Alberta clipper, and we have single digit Fahrenheit highs right now. So
oh yeah,
it is very cold, and they are surprisingly quiet for not having a run this morning.
oh
I'm
God.
I'm thankful for that.
Ryan, thanks so much, and we will talk to you in the new year. Have a great day, my friend. Be well.
You too.
Thank you very much for listening to the STM show. The STM show is brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, your digital concierge. For all your digital marketing needs, especially WordPress security, jump on over to stunningdigitalmarketing.com and let's help you put the pieces together and make your business succeed in the marketing realm. That's stunningdigitalmarketing.com. Very special thank you to Ryan Waterbury for joining me on this edition of the SDM show. This podcast is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I love you. I miss you very much. And thanks for all the inspiration over the years and your caring, your understanding, and helping me grow as an individual. Thank you, Dad.